Chapter 7 of Bulfinch's The Age of Chivalry. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Age of Chivalry by Thomas Bulfinch. Chapter 7. Caradoc Briefbras, or Caradoc with the Shrunken Arm. Caradoc was the son of Ysenne, a beautiful niece of Arthur. He was ignorant who his father was, till it was discovered in the following manner. When the youth was of proper years to receive the honours of knighthood, King Arthur held a grand court for the purpose of knighting him. On this occasion a strange knight presented himself, and challenged the knights of Arthur's court to exchange blow for blow with him. His proposal was this: to lay his neck on a block for any knight to strike, on condition that, if he survived the blow, the knight should submit in turn to the same experiment. Sir Kay, who was usually ready to accept all challenges, pronounced this wholly unreasonable, and declared that he would not accept it for all the wealth in the world. And when the knight offered his sword, with which the operation was to be performed, no person ventured to accept it, till Caradoc, growing angry at the disgrace which was thus incurred by the Round Table, threw aside his mantle and took it. "Do you do this as one of the best knights?" said the stranger. "No," he replied, "but as one of the most foolish." The stranger lays his head upon the block, receives a blow which sends it rolling from his shoulders, walks after it, picks it up, replaces it with great success, and says he will return when the court shall be assembled next year, and claim his turn. When the anniversary arrived, both parties were punctual to their engagement. Great entreaties were used by the king and queen, and the whole court, in behalf of Caradoc, but the stranger was inflexible. The young knight laid his head upon the block, and more than once desired him to make an end of the business, and not keep him longer in so disagreeable a state of expectation. At last the stranger strikes him gently with the side of his sword, bids him rise, and reveals to him the fact that he is his father, the enchanter Eliaures, and that he gladly owns him for a son, having proved his courage and fidelity to his word. But the favour of enchanters is short-lived and uncertain. Eliaures fell under the influence of a wicked woman, who, to satisfy her pique against Caradoc, persuaded the enchanter to fasten on his arm a serpent, which remained there sucking at his flesh and blood, no human skill sufficing either to remove the reptile, or to alleviate the torments which Caradoc endured. Caradoc was betrothed to Guinevere, a sister to his bosom friend Cador, and daughter to the king of Cornwall. As soon as they were informed of his deplorable condition, they set out for Nantes, where Caradoc's castle was, that Guinevere might attend upon him. When Caradoc heard of their coming, his first emotion was that of joy and love. But soon he began to fear that the sight of his emaciated form, and of his sufferings, would disgust Guinevere, and this apprehension became so strong that he departed secretly from Nantes, and hid himself in a hermitage. He was sought far and near by the knights of Arthur's court, and Cador made a vow never to desist from the quest till he should have found him. After long wandering, Cador discovered his friend in the hermitage, reduced almost to a skeleton, and apparently near his death. All other means of relief having already been tried in vain, Cador at last prevailed on the enchanter Eliaures to disclose the only method which could avail for his rescue. A maiden must be found, his equal in birth and beauty, and loving him better than herself, so that she would expose herself to the same torment to deliver him. 2 vessels were then to be provided, the one filled with sour wine, and the other with milk. Caradoc must enter the first, so that the wine should reach his neck, and the maiden must get into the other, and, exposing her bosom up to the edge of the vessel, invite the serpent to forsake the withered flesh of his victim for this fresh and inviting food. The vessels were to be placed 3 feet apart, and, as the serpent crossed from one to the other, a knight was to cut him in 2. If he failed in his blow, Caradoc would indeed be delivered, but it would be only to see his fair champion suffering the same cruel and hopeless torment. The sequel might be easily foreseen. Guinevere willingly exposed herself to the perilous adventure, and Cador, with a lucky blow, killed the serpent. The arm in which Caradoc had suffered so long recovered its strength, but not its shape, in consequence of which he was called Caradoc Briefbras, Caradoc of the Shrunken Arm. Caradoc and Guinevere are the hero and heroine of the ballad of the Boy and the Mantle, which follows. The Boy and the Mantle. In Carlisle dwelt King Arthur, a prince of passing might, and there maintained his Table Round, beset with many a knight. And there he kept his Christmas, with mirth and princely cheer, when lo! a strange and cunning boy before him did appear. A kirtle and a mantle, this boy had him upon, with brooches, rings, and ouches, full daintily bedone. He had a sash of silk about his middle meat, and thus with seemly courtesy he did King Arthur greet. God speed thee, brave King Arthur, thus feasting in thy bower, and Guinevere thy goodly queen, that fair and peerless flower. Ye gallant lords and lordlings, I wish you all take heed, lest what ye deem a blooming rose should prove a cankered weed. Then straightway from his bosom a little wand he drew, and with it eke a mantle of wondrous shape and hue. Now have thou here, King Arthur, have this here of me, and give it unto thy comely queen, all shapen as you see. No wife it shall become that once hath been to blame. Then every knight in Arthur's court sly glanced at his dame. And first came Lady Guinevere, the mantle she must try. This dame she was new fangled, and of a roving eye. When she had taken the mantle, and all with it was clad, from top to toe it shivered down, as though with tears beshred. One while it was too long, another while too short, and wrinkled on her shoulders in most unseemly sort. Now green, now red it seemed, then all of sable hue. Beshrew me, quoth King Arthur, I think thou be'st not true. Down she threw the mantle, no longer would she stay, but storming like a fury to her chamber flung away. She cursed the rascal weaver that had the mantle wrought, and doubly cursed the forward imp who thither had it brought. I had rather live in deserts, beneath the greenwood tree, than here, base king, among thy grooms, the sport of them and thee. Sir Kay called forth his lady, and bade her to come near. Yet, dame, if thou be guilty, I pray thee now forbear. This lady, pertly giggling, with forward step came on, and boldly to the little boy with fearless face is gone. When she had taken the mantle with purpose for to wear, it shrunk up to her shoulder, and left her back all bare. Then every merry knight that was in Arthur's court gibed and laughed and flouted to see that pleasant sport. Down she threw the mantle, no longer bold or gay, but with a face all pale and wan to her chamber slunk away. Then forth came an old knight a pattering over his creed, and proffered to the little boy 5 nobles to his meed. And all the time of Christmas plum porridge shall be thine, if thou wilt let my lady fair within the mantle shine. A saint his lady seemed, with step demure and slow, and gravely to the mantle with mincing face doth go. When she the same had taken that was so fine and thin, it shrivelled all about her and showed her dainty skin. Ah, little did her mincing, or his long prayers bestead, she had no more hung on her than a tassel and a thread. Down she threw the mantle with terror and dismay, and with a face of scarlet to her chamber hied away. Sir Caradoc called his lady, and bade her to come near. Come win this mantle, lady, and do me credit here. Come win this mantle, lady, for now it shall be thine, if thou hast never done amiss, since first I made thee mine. The lady, gently blushing, with modest grace came on, and now to try the wondrous charm courageously is gone. When she had ta'en the mantle, and put it on her back, about the hem it seemed to wrinkle and to crack. Lie still, she cried, O mantle, and shame me not for naught. I'll freely own whate'er amiss or blameful I have wrought. Once I kissed Sir Caradoc beneath the greenwood tree, before I kissed Sir Caradoc's mouth, before he married me. When she had thus her shriven, and her worst fault had told, the mantle soon became her, right comely as it should. Most rich and fair of colour, like gold it glittering shone, and much the knights in Arthur's court admired her every one. The ballad goes on to tell of 2 more trials of a similar kind, made by means of a boar's head and a drinking horn, in both of which the result was equally favourable with the first to Sir Caradoc and his lady. It then concludes as follows: Thus boar's head, horn, and mantle were this fair couple's meed, and all such constant lovers, God send them well to speed. Percy's Reliques. End of Chapter 7.